This is Andi Purewal for Boxing Social in association with Betfred. I'm joined by promoter Eddie Hearn. Eddie, I've been following you around for this past hour trying to get this interview. So how are you?
I'm very well, thank you. I've noticed you've got your tripod and you're just walking everywhere.
Basically.
No, I wasn't going to let you down, don't worry. But you gave the light to Coogan earlier. That was a lovely touch.
It's not all just rivalries and beef as it is, Eddie. Obviously, we're here in London. Ryder Jacobs talks about this fight, Eddie. People are talking about it as a crossroads fight. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes crossroads fights, I prefer to call a crossroads fight when you've got a young guy who's starting out and then an old guy who's trying to sort of defend the throne. This is two guys that are in similar positions, only Danny Jacobs' achievements are a lot more impressive than John Ryder in terms of the world stage. I'm trying to think of the last time that we had a name, an American name the size of Daniel Jacobs in the UK. Obviously we had Crawford and Spence when they were starting out, but no one really of someone who was a sort of proven world champion. So it's a big honour to bring him over for British boxing. For John Ryder, he says the loser's done. Jacobs didn't really agree with that, but it's just a really good fight because I feel like if both guys do what they should do and what they have to do, you're going to get a brilliant fight. Like if John Ryder starts to try and box Daniel Jacobs, it's going to be a really tough night. So he's got to get in there, use the atmosphere, use the energy in Ali Pali, huge crowd, and I think we'll get a really good fight. Felix Cash in a brilliant fight against Madiev. Johnny Fisher is going to bring a mental support. Ellie Scotty in a really good fight as well. Ammo Williams. It's a good night of boxing, but a really intriguing main event. You know, World Championship eliminator, and both guys must win. Speaking
to John earlier, he said he's not looking at the Gabe Rosado performance from Danny Jacobs, and he actually expects him to maybe start quicker this time about. How do you anticipate the fight to play out?
Well, again, I think if it plays out how it should play out, Daniel Jacobs should be coming here to make a statement, and I think he is, and I think that's one of the reasons that he took this fight. He needs to come out and set a fast pace against John Ryder, and John Ryder needs to do the same. So if we get that, we're going to get a brilliant fight. If John Ryder starts trying to box Daniel Jacobs, who is, has brilliant fundamentals, it's going to be a really tough night for him. So John Ryder needs a firefight. That's what he needs here, and I think Danny is in the kind of mood to give him that. And you saw at the head-to-head, just overstep the line a little bit to say, I'm Danny Jacobs. Who are you? And if John Ryder can bite down on the gum shield, I think you're going to get a great fight.
Once again, John said to me, it all very much depends on what happens with Canelo and his belts. Obviously looking at 175, the Golovkin trilogy, which I'll ask you about shortly. But is the plan beyond this, whoever wins the world title will be there for them to challenge for? Yeah,
again, you see what happens with Canelo Alvarez, but the winner of this fight puts himself in a great position. I know winner stays on is a bit corny, but that is really how it works in boxing. Winner stays on. And that's the same with these guys. I think loser is out of world championship recognition, and I think they're done. I do, it doesn't matter, you can't take away from their achievements, but I don't see a way forward for the winner here to go and fight for a world title. So I think really important for both guys, they get the win.
Johnny Fisher, as you mentioned, he sells a lot of tickets, but I was interested, beyond this fight, what next from his opponent? As he said himself, he might not be well known, so he might not get the recognition or the respect he deserves if he's successful against him, but would somebody like a Kamil Sokolowski be thought about? Or what did you make of Otto Warlin's performance against him?
Sokolowski arguably won that fight. So Sokolowski's a very difficult fight. Solomon Dakers went in, but Solomon Dakers has got a great amateur pedigree, beat him comfortably. That was a really impressive win. Then you saw Sokolowski fight, and won every round. So I think that's a very dangerous fight for anyone, Sokolowski. This is a really good opponent for Johnny Fisher because he's a guy that's been 8-10 rounds with some good heavyweights. Beat Johnny Fisher's last opponent, so and I think he's a big, strong guy. Johnny's just got to stay calm. Yes, Johnny's a ticket seller, but Johnny is also a very good heavyweight prospect. And I think sometimes when someone sells as many tickets, people just presume, oh, he's a ticket seller. He's not. He's fast, he's strong, he's a quick learner, he's very tough, and he's exciting. And you will see on Saturday an atmosphere that will be incredible for Johnny Fisher. He's just got to stay calm in this fight because it is dangerous.
Moving away from his card, Eddie, some other topics to touch on. As we mentioned, Canelo, some reports that he's close to accepting an $85 million offer from yourselves and DAZN for Dmitry Bivol in May, and then later in this year, Gennady Golovkin. Can you fill me in on that?
Mike Coppin just sent me about 100 messages asking me if it was true. I didn't comment. There is no deal done yet. We're in discussions, as is many other people as well. Yes, Dmitry Bivol and Gennady Golovkin are two fights, obviously, that we can deliver for him with DAZN. Nothing to announce yet. It's going to come down to Canelo and Eddie Reynoso, which challenge they want to accept next. For us, it would be an honour to work with Canelo again and Eddie. We love them and they're brilliant to work with, but hopefully we'll get some good news, but nothing agreed yet.
Have you had any indication as to where they're thinking they're going to go?
No, I think, like I said, I think we've got a very attractive proposal put forward to them. 2 great fights, and it's just going to come down to what challenges they wish to accept next.
I've seen some people over social media suggesting if that was to go ahead, that potentially the Canelo Triple G fight, or maybe saying AJ Usyk will be the beginning of the first DAZN pay-per-view. Has that been something that's been discussed?
No, I mean, obviously different markets. You know, an AJ Usyk fight, would that be DAZN pay-per-view? One for them, but I'll tell you, it would need to be. You know, obviously Canelo Triple G is an American fight predominantly, not pay-per-view fight in the UK. But again, it's too early in those discussions. At the moment, we're trying to get the deal done, and then we'll talk to DAZN about how they wish to air that. But certainly AJ Usyk, we've always said, you know, fights like that, it would have to sit on that platform. And that's one of the reasons why it was important to have that discussion. So you've got the capability and the functionality to have those conversations for those kind of fights. So
USYK-AJ 2, you anticipate will be pay-per-view?
One for DAZN, but I mean, I believe so, yeah.
Away from that one, just to get your update, in fact, on USYK-AJ 2, where do things currently stand?
Spoke to Alex Krasuk. We're due to have a meet-up next week. I'm travelling around next week talking to some various sites around the world about staging that fight. I'd like to do it in London, but we have had offers from around the world as well, and we'll see. May is the targeted date for that, and we'll see where it's decided that fight will take place, and I guess you'll get an announcement before the end of February.
You said to me on Monday you was meeting Dillian-Whyte, I believe, on Tuesday, yesterday. How did those discussions go?
Good, yeah. I mean, they've got the contract. Obviously, you know, when there's a purse bid, there's a standard contract that we haven't been sent. We've been sent another contract, which is not the standard one, but we expected that. And the lawyers are going backwards and forwards. Hopefully they can find an agreement and get that fight announced. You know, it's not... I love Dillian-Whyte's play in this fight, you know, about the keeping quiet, because it's just aggravating everybody, you know, and I don't think it was intentional mind games, but I think it's working really well. So Dillian-Whyte, of course he wants this fight, of course he wants to fight for the world title. He'll let his team and the lawyers do the work, and then, you know, hopefully that gets boxed off and they can announce the fight.
I've again seen people suggest, from Dillian's perspective, because he's not signed with Frank, why should he push for the fight? Why should he promote it? Obviously, you're not involved in that sense. Is it something which you anticipate will change? No,
obviously, if you were owning the show, you know, and like he works on a pay-per-view level, you push the show beyond norm. I mean, for me, I'm not involved in the promotion. They don't want me involved in the promotion, Frank, Ryan, those guys, so I'm not pushing the show, am I? I mean, and people say to me, oh, why aren't you pushing that show? It's not my fight. But I will support Dillian in absolutely every level that he wishes me to be involved. And we've worked very hard to get to this level, been through some rough times as well. And this is it, this is his chance. But I love the fact that, I like the quietness, you know, you don't have to do anything, you know, that you're told to do. And Dillian's the kind of guy that definitely won't keep him guessing. Maybe he won't even turn up, we'll see.
I mean, I hope it's the case. April 23rd was the date being touted for Conor Benn. Obviously, that's also been touted for Fury-Whyte. Changes on that?
Yeah, if Fury-Whyte takes place on the 23rd, we're likely to go on the 16th with Conor Benn. We've got big fights for Conor Benn, Callum Smith, Joshua Buatsi, Derek Chisora, Joe Caldina, I mean, so many big fights, probably to get all those names that I just mentioned into 3 dates. So we're crunching those in at the moment, got some big show announcements coming for April and May, and we'll do that in due course.
Speaking to Conor yesterday, he said that he's had some form of discussions with Eubank Junior's team. What can you fill me in on that?
No, I mean, Calla texted me last night and said, who have you been having discussions with? I went, no one. Who have you been having discussions with? We went, no one. I'm sure there's a bit of internal chat with those guys, but, you know, for us, more than happy, as I said to Calla last night, to have a chat about it. My aim for Conor Benn is to get him in a position to win a world welterweight title. That fight, Eubank-Benn, is almost like a cash-out fight you do at the end, and you've got Conor's just starting his career and Eubank's coming to the end of his career. But happy to discuss it. It's a massive fight. Don't see Eubank coming down much lower than 160, which is a big problem for me, and it would be for Tony Sims. But you know, Conor's going to have a tough fight next, and yeah, I'm always happy to discuss those kind of fights. It's a massive fight. But you know, let's get through the next one first.
Conor said Chris Van Heerden seems to be at the front runner now. Is that true?
Yeah, we had a deal with Maurice Hooker. He accepted the fight, and then unfortunately he got injured, I think, in like the second day of camp. There's an offer out with Van Heerden. There's an offer out with Adrian Broner. there's a couple more offers out as well with some big names, and we'll see who accepts. And like I said, we were happy with the deal with Hooker. They accepted the deal, and it was a good fight, but unfortunately he won't be fit.
Future quickly whiz for Chisora Ortiz.
Yeah, I spoke to Del last night. Great fight. He's not a fan of southpaws. We both share the vision that we prefer the Areola fight, but also understand the Ortiz fight is a much bigger fight. So we'll see. We're in talks with Louis de Cubas, PBC, about Areola and Luis Ortiz, and we'll see what's next for Del Boy.
What's Richards?
It's a fight we want to do. It's a fight we're very close to agreement on. Just looking to lock in the date for that. It's important that fight takes place in London or certainly around. Both guys are from Croydon, Crystal Palace. It's a great fight, and I think, like Liam Smith against Anthony Fowler, a good example of, listen, if there's a logjam for a world title and you believe you can win this fight, it's a big money fight, big attention fight, big profile fight, make it happen. And Buatsi Richards is a really good fight.
Khan-Brook next weekend?
Yes, I think Kell Brook wins the fight. Yeah, I think he wants it more. I think he's probably a little bit fresher. I mean, he hasn't boxed for a year or so, and Khan hasn't boxed for a couple of years. So I just feel that Kell will be a little bit fresher.
The final one, Eddie, for our partners, for Betfred and for Sporth. The Super Bowl this weekend, Cincinnati Bengals versus Los Angeles Rams. Your thoughts?
I think you're asking the wrong guy, but isn't it that the Bengals were lucky to get there? And it's happening in LA, right? In the big new stadium. So I'll go with the Rams all day long.
Eddie Hearn, thank you for speaking to me in Boxing Social.
Cheers, mate. Thank you.